Greetings, fellow dimensional scissors. Tiki here.
And Jacob Wile.
And welcome to another record breaking episode of Tiki's Universe. That's right, it's a show where we react to Steven Universe, we respond to Star vs. Forces of Evil. And my God, Jacob, we have a whole slate of shows on the horizon, including Tangled, DuckTales, Big Hero 6, possibly Samurai Jack. A lot of stuff, Jacob, under the Tiki's Universe umbrella. But Jacob, I wish we would have gotten to talk about this episode sooner. It's all on me that we didn't. So let's just take the time and just really deep dive into this thing, man, because I really think this is not just like the best.
Maybe we should say the name of the episode first.
Okay, it's Running with Scissors. The name is Running with Scissors. All right. Jacob, this is one of the best pieces of animation I have seen in all of like 2016. And I know it's technically 2017, but it's like one of the best animated pieces I've seen in like the year. You know what I mean? Like of the past 12 months.
Indeed it is. This episode actually deals with something that not a lot of anything really deals with. A kind of existential kind of crisis.
Yeah, and one that's going to really carry over and develop as the show goes on, if I'm hoping that they do it the right way and they, continue like kind of the head trip of the thematic issues that Marco was dealing with throughout the course of the runtime of this episode.
Yeah, it's like this episode kind of deals, especially the end, and this episode deals with that, like, it's almost an existential crisis. Or a dilemma, not necessarily a crisis, but a dilemma.
And then I'd say at the end, like the last couple minutes of the episode are just kind of Marco being like, oh my God, like I've just lived through 16 years. I've essentially lived like all these amazing adventures and journeys and quests, stuff that I used to dream about, right?
Yeah.
And now here I am back here. I've got certain aspects of my life together. He is going out with Jackie, and that is a thing that he would have left behind if he chose to stay. Oh man, it's just, but then again,
there's also his friendship with Star.
Of course, but then again, Jacob, when you think about it, he has been playing with Hekapu for 16 years, playing this game, and she has been on his mind constantly, and I think those two have developed a tight rapport as well.
Longer than he was alive in the real dimension.
Longer than he's been with his parents. Think about it that way. Marco now knows Hekapu for a longer amount of time than he's known his parents.
And the fact that it all happened in less than 8 minutes.
Jacob, I love this episode. I genuinely think this is probably, like, gun to my head, it's probably the best episode of Star vs. Force of Evil they've done so far.
It is pretty interesting. Mainly, it is a very interesting concept.
I just think everything about it is really well done, well executed. It's got a great pace to it.
Because usually the episodes that focus all around Marco really haven't been that strong up until this point.
They've been hit or miss. I mean, I've liked a couple of them, but
I know, but I mean, episodes like Ludo and the Wild prove that they can do episodes focusing in other than Star, and still have a good episode.
And this episode proves for sure that Marco is back in the game in a big way. And oh my God, Jacob, I am just like, ever since watching this episode on Thursday when it came out, my mind has just been going wild with theories about what this could mean for Marco, going forward, like if he's going to retain all of this knowledge of his epic quests and whatnot, like even though he's in the 14-year-old version of his body, is he going to have like some sort of super strength or something going forward? There's a lot up in the air. And Jacob, I just want to put it out there. You've seen Math Magic Land, the episode that I'm hyped about. I haven't seen it, so let's just leave that episode out of the equation for anything that comes out of it regarding any of the stuff we're talking about here, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, Dimensional Scissors, man. Dimensional Scissors. Jacob, what do you think of the whole, the world building of the Dimensional Scissors as we got in this episode? Because you were really hyped about that.
Well, we finally learned where the Dimensional Scissors actually come from and who makes them. Heck, this lovely lady right here, Hekapu.
And I think even more amusingly, we learned where Star's scissors came from, where Ponyhead found them.
Ponyhead stole them from Hekapoo.
Oh, girl, I didn't stole them. I found them.
Yep. She's like, oh, found them. He's like, I found them. And she's like, and she was like, Ponyhead, I'm sure that's stealing.
The Ponyhead's just like floating on a treadmill, so like literally like not doing any exercise, just floating over a treadmill, and like drinking like a large soda, eating some French fries or something. Like, oh, what's up, girl? I'm doing my exercise time.
Oh, jeez, Ponyhead.
Ponyhead's ridiculous, but I kind of like her at the same time. Like, I feel like she adds a nice flavor to the show, and they don't really use her too much. So when she comes on, it's just like, oh, Ponyhead, okay.
She's more sympathetic than she was in her first appearance, that's for sure.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, Jacob, I definitely think this episode is... I mean, first of all, we get that, we get kind of Act 1 is the fun sort of Marco using the dimensional scissors, like he's tipping his toes in the water, he's using it to grab a soda from the fridge, and then we get a brief glimpse of Mr. Diaz. It's like to prove that he's still in the series, apparently.
and also him trying to use the dimensional scissor to throw something in a trash can a couple feet away from him.
Which is really the most pathetic. Like, okay, at that point, Marco, you got to realize you have a problem there, buddy. Come on.
Even Star never did that. Even Star, I mean, this is something that even Star didn't do.
He's gone scissor crazy. Okay, so then we meet Hekapoo. We get treated to a very like Dragon Ball Z style, like, there's thousands of Hekapoos, and there's this one goal that he has to get, which is to blow out the flame of the original Hekapoo who has the scissors. And then we get that great fight scene, and we get all the Hekapoos running into the different portals and dimensions and everything like that. And then I guess cut briefly to Star kind of discovering that Marco's out, and she sees the flame vortex, the flame dimension, and so kind of putting the pieces together.
After seeing the fact that a person walking his dog came to her house like it was a dog park.
Yeah, man, this dog park has a really weird new aesthetic to it, but I kind of dig the indoor suburban vibe, yo.
And then the dog park...
The indoor suburban vibe is totally banging. It's like haters randomly just like an interior decorator. Yeah, I thought you'd like that, Jacob. Totally banging. All right.
All right, but... And then not to mention that the dog park that Marco sent the laser puppies to, which he completely forgot about, is now completely on fire.
Yeah. Oh yeah, lots of fun with the scissors. This episode.
Yes.
But then I'd say, Jacob, like, just the last 5 minutes of the episode, man.
Yeah, that's when it calms down for a bit.
I mean, it calms down in terms of the comedy, in terms of like the Dragon Ball Z style, like action and shenanigans and whatnot. But then it just kind of hits you over the face with like, okay, here's like a big fat slab of like Christopher Nolan-esque existential, like, whoa. I don't know.
And it also shows you how devoted he is to getting Star's scissors back.
16 years, Jacob. I mean, this is just a fascinating idea to me, and it's just like I said, it's been marinating in my mind since Thursday when this episode dropped.
16 years, and they said that shows how devoted he is to his promises. To like, I'm gonna get her scissors back.
He's got like this whole epic tale about like, meeting up with monks and them training for like 4 years, and then like, I don't know, like climbing mountains, and it's like there's so much stuff. It's like he's lived like a full life. He is now like a grown adult. He is basically like a 30-year-old. He has really truly come of age. Oh man, and just I don't know, Jacob. What do you think of that reveal? Like when you saw Marco kind of come out of the woodwork when it cut back to the two Hekapoos. Did you see him? Did you kind of know right away with the design of him, with the, his old red jacket draped over him like a cape and everything? How long did it take you to figure out what was going on?
It took me a couple of seconds, but I was like, no, how much time has passed?
That's the trippy part about this episode, right? It's just like we see Star kind of like we literally see the time that has passed between Marco like going into the fire dimension and then Star realizing he's in the fire dimension. Cut back. That's the 16 years. Like that's such a great that is really well framed, man. That is like a
And,
great way to write like interdimensional time travel.
and considering it's actually pretty much what happened in the episode itself. Like in that amount of time, 16 years did pass.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like it cuts back. We see Star. We see her kind of just wake up and realize that Marco's gone. Literally in that time, like about 8 minutes, it's just sort of like, okay, like Marco is now like buff and has abs and everything. So should we talk about that? Should we talk about that, Jacob?
His hot bod, as he calls it.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Or just Star's reaction to it specifically.
He got jacked.
So, I mean, at first, Star calls him like a beautiful stranger, but then as soon as she realizes it's Marco, and
Like,
I love how the Marco, like the buff Marco, totally still has the childlike personality, even though his voice is gravelly and stuff. He's just like, Star, you'll never believe it, Star. Oh my god, I have so much to tell you. And then
like,
Star's just like, hey, abs.
Marco,
Oh my god.
Marco. She was totally hot over his hot bod. I mean,
Yeah, so that's definitely one of the, good shot of comedy into the episode, where the episode in a lot of places is very somber and very kind of like self-reflective of Marco.
indeed it is.
So let's see, you want to talk about his decision to whether or not he wants to go back home?
Yeah, but like maybe we should talk about him catching up with Hekapu first in the conversations they have, like how she like almost willingly allowed him to blow out a flame.
Okay, go ahead.
It's like Hekapu knows when she's being defeated and admits that he actually earned those scissors. Like a worthy challenge.
Now, does this mean that Marco is technically the owner of the scissors now and Star does not technically own a pair of scissors?
I guess that's what it is, because remember, it has the name of whoever owns them inscribed on there. Because
So that's another like minor development that might come into fruition later on as we kick towards the the final episodes of season 2. Man, they're putting a lot of pieces into place.
Star scissors technically belong to Hekapu, and now those scissors have Marco's name on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the dynamic of that is, and if Star can even use those scissors now.
And here's one thing that I'm curious about. After he goes back, you know how he reverts back to his 14-year-old body, right?
Right.
The question is, if he goes back to that dimension, will he ever revert back to his 30-year-old body?
I'd like to think so. I really would.
I mean, because though it does set up a good existential crisis kind of thing, it just kind of is like a cop out to have him suddenly back into his body.
I guess so. I just the
really
way I see it, Jacob, the way I see it is that this essentially gives us two different Marcos in the same character. So it is very trippy and headspacey if you think about it, because now Marco is, he's like the future Marco who's catching up with Hekapu, and raising Nacho, his demon bicycle or whatever.
Which is awesome, by the way.
Yes, of course. Totally a bat out of hell reference. But and then at the same time, Marco is still like, like trying to go for like, keeping a steady relationship with Jackie Lynn and Star and dealing with the crisis with Ludo and all the other stuff. So Jacob, I definitely think that the writers of the show with this episode took Marco, who was essentially a very likable character, but not the most important when it came to the plot, and just injected him with a big old syringe of plot relevance in this episode.
We'll see how it plays out. I don't know how well this will play into future continuity.
I hope he at least has a bald spot. That's one of the things I'm going to be looking for. Don't tell me if it's in Math Magic Land or not.
Okay.
And yeah, I definitely hope that like at least it gets called back, whereas like Marco is kind of like, he's the 14-year-old, but now he's changed by this experience. This episode kind of reminds me of something that would be out of like Rick and Morty or something like that. And I mean that in a good way, where Rick and Morty at its best is, is definitely kind of calling attention to the odd, out there sci-fi elements of the world. And I definitely think that this episode of Star vs. Force of Evil calls to mind those same sort of philosophies and same sort of ideologies. So yeah, I don't know. That's why this episode really stands above a lot of the others for me, is just because of the philosophical, stuff that you can kind of mine from the episode.
I have to agree with that statement.
Yeah. Okay. And anything else you want to go over, Jacob?
I mean, I don't know if there's much else we can go over. We pretty much got everything we could out of this episode. We talked about every single part and its implications and everything.
That was the plan, Sam. I am.
Except I don't think we ever talked about the character Hekapu herself.
All right, we can break that down a little bit. I actually really like her, man. And honestly, at this point, I'm kind of thinking, let's see, Markapoo?
Oh, geez,
Are we going with that? Are we going with Markapoo?
Not you too.
Markapoo. Hashtag Markapoo.
And just like if he ever gets old again, he can instantly go back and change to his younger self. Just, oh, geez. Too many ships.
So I guess for final thoughts, Jacob, for me, overall, I definitely think this episode is it's a huge step in the right direction after the train wreck that was the Weird Al episode a couple episodes ago. And like I said, for me, it definitely, like, at least in terms of the questions that it left us with and the way it delivered it, like how powerful it was to see Marco 16 years later and how much has changed. And then, like, the radical transition when he became 14 years old again.
What really hammers it home is, like, his food is still warm, and he can't remember his password or anything like that.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, Jacob. Thank you. Because that is definitely, like, those little details like that. Right. And then the last line, the last moment being the laser puppies looking at Marco with the leashes, and then Marco being like, all right, let's go for that walk. It's just like God damn, that literally feels like some Ray Bradbury science fiction right there. I mean, well done, Star vs. Force of Evil. You have my attention.
Let's hope they keep it.
Hopefully. So, Jacob, the next episode is Math Magic Land. Do you have any final thoughts on Running with Scissors?
Definitely a good step forward for Marco's character. And like as he said, some episodes that focus, as I said before, some of the episodes focusing on him have been hit or miss.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely one that is definitely a step in the right direction for his character, and we'll see where it heads from here.
All right, so next episode is Math Magic Land, one that I've been hyping up. Jacob's already seen it, so we will see how it goes. I haven't gotten a chance to see it yet, but we will be reviewing it tomorrow. And in the meantime, folks, I don't know. Just remember, hashtag Markapoo.
Yeah,
hashtag Markapoo. Markapoo.